and welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. Today we've got an excellent show because we're going to talk about, well, business, but business at a state level and potentially, I'm sure, at a national level because of the impact that Texas has on the state of the nation. I heard recently that we have one of the largest economies in the world. Texas does, not just the U.S. And with that in mind, I've got Senator Ken Paxton today with us, and I'm so thankful for that.
Thanks, good to be here.
I'm really glad that you're here because one of the things that you're running for Attorney General, right?
That's correct.
And I know that you were saying that this particular election is going to be decided by very few.
Usually 5% of the registered voters in Texas will vote in the primary, which is March 4th, to pick their candidates, either Democrat or Republican, for who's going to run in the general election. And the reason that's so important is Texas, since the early 90s, whoever's won in the primary, Republican primary, has won the general election. So, but only 5% of the registered voters are actually voting in that primary and actually making the decision.
Now, when you put real numbers on that, a lot of people don't understand percentages because that's new math.
Sure.
What does that mean, really?
There are 26 million people approximately in Texas, and about 1.4 to 1.2 will actually vote in that primary. So that small number of people are deciding who the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, et cetera, are. Critical.
When you got the senator that came through now what is it, District 8?
Yeah, I'm Senate District 8.
And what is that? What territory is that?
That covers North Dallas, Richardson, Saxe, and then goes up north through Collin County all the way up to McKinney and Frisco and Allen and Plano. So
very much the area that UAN is all about, which
Correct.
Is the station we're on. But so you cover that area, and I know that you've been considered one of the most, I don't want to say, well, I'd say you're probably pretty conservative.
Correct.
What are some of the things that you've stood for? And if you were able to get in to Attorney General, what would that mean for the state?
One of the areas that I focused on, because I was on the Ways and Means Committee, so we dealt with taxes. So I've been a big proponent of cutting property taxes in the state because we have one of the highest property tax rates in the country. And so I've made a push to lower. I actually came very close to eliminating a decent amount of our property taxes. It's been a real hard thing to do, but it's something I've really focused on. I've also been a proponent of reducing business taxes because I believe that will create more jobs, bring more business here, and create more wealth for the people that are here. So taxes and keeping taxes low makes this state competitive versus other states and allows us to continue to grow. That's why our economy is one of the top. That's why 1/3 of the jobs over the last 10 years have been created in Texas. That's why people are leaving California. And there's a net loss of people from California and a net gain to Texas. And that's why people are coming really from all over the country to be here.
But the other thing is that I heard you recently talk about the difference between the Democrat and Republican areas of the country and how many of them are suffering financially. And not to bash anybody, it is what it is, right?
That's right. So it's not that I'm trying to bash anybody either. It's just that if you look at the states that are controlled by Democratic legislatures, whether that's New York, California, Illinois, Michigan, typically they're struggling financially and they're struggling with keeping jobs, and it's usually it's not because they're Democrats, because they have typically gone for higher taxes, more regulation, and made it harder for businesses to survive, and so businesses eventually pick up and leave. And that's why Texas has been more successful. Not that we're perfect, we're not, but we have encouraged business to come here by having a good legal system, having low taxes, and making the regulatory burden bearable.
One of the things that I'm sure that a lot of people would want to know is kind of where you came from, because if you were practicing attorney in McKinney, as I understand it, you have a law practice up there, and then but you kind of came out of nowhere. What's your story?
I really was just interested in initially just helping good people get elected, and I started off when I moved back from Virginia and after law school. Started getting involved in campaigns. I actually met my congressman. He was particularly rude to me. And so I worked on a campaign against him. That's how I got involved in politics, just my own congressman treating me like I didn't matter. And I think there's a lot of that in politics. And so I was inspired by that treatment to make sure that we had people that actually cared about their constituents and that would do the right thing. And so I've been involved in helping people run for judicial positions, state rep, Senate, Congress. And I try to make a difference by helping other people, and that sort of led me into running.
So if you were to look at some of the things that you've done in the last few years, what do you think has been the most notable and people should really go, whoa, that's awesome?
Well, we had, when Obama came into office, we lost. We went from 88 Republicans. We have 150 House members we have 150 House members in the House. We had 88 of them as Republicans. When Obama came in, that number dropped to 76. So we had a 76-74 majority. And when that happened, there was a coalition put together of all the 65 Democrats and 11 Republicans, more moderate, and they put a coalition together and they took over the House. Well, 2 years later, I ran against the then Speaker, who had a lot of connections to the Democrats and tried to unseat him. So a lot of people knew about me because I was willing to stand up and take on my own party and try to move the House away from democratically controlled and to a more Republican legislature.
So, but some of the things that you've even stood for, you seem to me like you've kind of been the David and Goliath syndrome. And as we move forward through this, I want to know more about what you're really bringing to the table as the future AG and how that's going to affect not just Texas, but everywhere, because this show, it airs DFW, Houston. It's actually expanding out. We've got over 100,000 views on YouTube. We've got several thousands, over 50,000 video links out there. So this is the Business Spotlight. We'll be right back.
You can become a published author. Discover a system that will lead you from idea to having your book on the bookshelves. Bob Baer pulls back the curtain at the More Power to Publish workshop. Watch and learn how to follow the step-by-step plan to turn your idea into a published book. Learn more at morepowertopublish.com.